Gabrielle Giffords and I have been attempting to raise over a period of time involving the Air National Guard. And they're predicting, as you know, Mr. Secretary, that in about 8 years or so, it's a little bit of flexibility in the flying time with the hours, that about 80% of its air sovereignty alert aircraft units will begin running out of flying hours. In previous hearings on this issue, the committee has been assured that the Air Force is working on it and that everything will be okay and that we can just hang on a little bit more and we'll see what the plan is. Well, I'm really concerned that it has taken this long for the problem to be recognized. I really don't think that it's been properly addressed, and we need to understand that it appears to at least some of us that there's a lack of a plan, or at least a lack of willingness to present to Congress whatever's being thought about of how to fill, you can call it a bathtub, you can call it the gap, the fighter gap, whatever it may be, to address the problem. And a big concern is that if we don't have a plan to do this and we run out of the legacy aircraft, Air Guard units will, what can they do if they don't have aircraft to fly? I mean, they go away. It's not, you can't mothball them. The people who are doing the mission are not going to hang around. And I think a vital link for our homeland security and national defense, because as you well know, they're integrated fully into the war theater and what they do. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts and feelings on the fighter shortfall issue, which is impacting the Air Force and the Navy and the Air Guard, and just a little bit of a comment about how your 75% solution to the problem fit into the fighter shortfall issue.
Yes, sir. Let me offer a couple of thoughts and then invite Admiral Mullen to get into it. First of all, this is one of the issues. The number of TAC air units that we need will be one of the issues that we're addressing in the quadrennial defense review. There are two ways to look at it. One is the force structure itself, and as you suggest, the need to keep the Air National Guard in a place where it makes the contribution it needs to make to the nation, and that is a capabilities and force structure based estimate, and that's where you get the bathtub that you described. The opposite, another way to look at the TAC air problem is in terms of our adversaries and what their capabilities are going to be. And how do you reconcile these two? And I think that's one of the issues that the QDR has to take into account, because if you look at it on a threat basis, just as an example, just to pick China, in 2020 the U.S. will have 2,700 tactical aircraft, the Chinese about 1,000 less than that. But of our number, we will have over 1,000 fifth-generation airplanes and 1,300 fourth-generation. They will have 0 fifth-generation aircraft. In 2025, we'll have 1,700 fifth-generation aircraft plus Reapers, and they will have a handful of fifth-generation. So there's how you look at the threat as opposed to our force-based capabilities or our capabilities-based force structure, I think are two different perspectives that lead you to, right now at least, two different answers in terms of the number of TAC air, and that's why I think the QDR needs to take a look at it. But let me ask Admiral Mullen to.
I certainly recognize the challenge of the modernization piece to which you speak, and clearly you can only fly these aircraft to a certain point when their flight hours are done, and you don't have, and you must replace them. But I see us at a time where we really are in transition to a new strike fighter, and that's the Joint Strike Fighter. That's really our investment. We do have some challenges, obviously, in strike fighter shortfalls, I think, in this transition. And then the analytical work that I think has to be done is as described by the Secretary. What it doesn't mean is that 8 years from now or 20 years from now, we're going to be doing it exactly the same way we're doing it now. And I think those are some of the questions that are out there for analysis. That said, the strength of the commitment to air sovereignty levels and the need to meet that requirement is one we all recognize for the future.
Thank the gentleman. Mr. Smith, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary Gates, Admiral Mullen, for being here. I just want to offer my strongest possible support for the process that you went through in delivering this budget. I think your efforts are very commendable and absolutely critical to the future of our national security, that we, as much as possible, follow the guidelines that you have laid out. And I got to tell you, I was practically cheering over here when you said that, you know, we have plenty of reports and plenty of process. We needed to make decisions. After 12 years in this committee, I have watched those decisions get delayed by more process and more studies, and I can absolutely picture your office piled to the top with them. Somebody just needed to step up and say, this is what we need to do and where we need to go, and to make the hard decisions necessary to make it happen. And I believe that is what you have done, and I applaud you for it, and certainly want to try to support you as we work our way through the congressional process out the other side to actually have a budget that is implemented. And in particular, you have placed the emphasis, I think, where it needs to be placed. Recognize